So, firing up some more 25NL zoom on Poker Stars, and we have to fold our beautiful King 10 offsuit here against the button raise. So today again, I'm going to explain all my actions and non-actions here. So in this case, we have ace 8 offsuit. We only face a min bet, but it's in from the hijack. So this is a fold here, no matter what small blind does. Jack 7 off is also a fold. And this is a hand that we might be playing depending on the action. But against a 3x raise from under the gun, even though it's a loose, aggressive player, I decide to fold. If he had min raise there, I would probably have 3-bet. If I had had ace-5 suited, I would also have 3-bet, but ace-6 suited is just that pip worse, although it's actually technically a better hand, the 6 kicker than the 5. But the playability just goes down because you can't make as many straights with ace-6 as you can with ace-5. And purely because of that, it is a worse hand. Pocket sevens, definitely an open. In the hijack, I usually open to 2x, sometimes 2.2x. I just have a random randomizer in my head. I don't really use any numbers or so. Here on this board, I could either go big or check. I decide to check this time. I would sometimes go big with pocket sevens there too, but in this case, I'm just taking my equity to the river and no reason to bluff now. We still win against a few pocket pairs, against a flopped 5, against king high, but not against an ace. So it was actually good to have just checked it down in this case. King queen suited, definitely an open in the low jack, or any position for that matter. Here, again, like I am just going to go for the bet because I don't have a lot going on here, just the overs and the backdoor straight draw. Now we get called here. We didn't pick up any equity, so I think we should just check. And on this river, I think we kind of have to bluff here. I go b75 because we don't have we don't block his folding range, so we don't have any spade. And if he had had any sort of pocket pair or an 8 or something like that, he will feel like he has to fold there. So that was good. Also, it's very good for red line. Here, definitely not a hand I would call with this action. I mean, I wouldn't have called even with against one razor rather than this multi-way pot. But Jack 5 suited is definitely not a hand that I would play, especially in a multi-way pot. I know a lot of players do, especially a lot of live players. You see them show up with that sort of hand all the time, but it is absolutely a losing play to do so. Ace 10 off in the small blind. Obviously, we'll open it now that we got check to. This is a board that I would see bet range basically with 2 broadways, simply because we have a range advantage. His now I have to be careful here. I have to check because he would have 3-bet a lot of king jack, so we definitely have the range and the nut advantage there. Here now, I mean, what do we beat? We're quite low down in our range, but at least we still have ace high. But I still think I don't want to go for a bluff here with my ace high. So let's see what he does. What notes did I have about him? He double stabbed small with nothing after I skipped the C bet. Yeah, I mean, I have ace high here. What do I beat? Only a complete bluff. And what kind of bluffs does he get to with here? Not many, because queen 10 got there, 10 9, queen 9. They all have something that beats me. Plus, I don't even think he would go that big with queen 9. So definitely not a hand I can call there. Ace 5 off is a hand that we can defend, but there's no need to, because they're all really nice and they're just giving us a walk. King 6 suited, I would definitely open it in the cutoff. We have semi-aggressive players here. This is like an optional open in the hijack. I will open it this time, because the players behind me are all semi. Oh yeah, this is an interesting one. This is a range bet board basically with a king high, and I could actually even have gone bigger, but because I'm not too proud of my kicker, I went a bit smaller. Annoying turn now. Not that I expect him to have a lot of flushes, but well, speaking of annoying turns, this is an annoying river. I can basically not beat anything, can I? Like, I can, well, I'll go really cheeky here with something like 1.2. And we get the fold. It's good for the red line. I can justify any bet with that slogan. But yeah, I didn't think that it was good that the flush came in, because with my low kicker, I don't think I really could get much more value out of pocket pairs below my king once the flush comes there, so that's why I did not really like it. But he seems to have been a very passive player, so it was still a profitable situation for me. So I had to cut out quite a few hands because I wasn't dealt anything playable for quite a while. Now we're opening ace deuce suited here, and wow, look at this. We got an aggressive 3-better. We got a player who cold calls here, and I'm just gonna watch this actually. Gonna make a note here that he cold called a 3-bet. And let's see what these players show up with here. He has king queen and he wins. And this other player he had pocket tens, yeah, so it was a good fold there. Against the 4x 3-bet, I'd have to fold a lot anyway, and ace deuce suited is basically a fold even against the 3x. I could have considered 4-betting there, but I thought because of the cold caller, that wasn't really the best course of action. Here, king 7-5 is not as good a board for me as you might think, so I decide to check it back. He now pots it, which I don't really like, but he's a very aggressive player from the info that I have. And I call. Now he sizes down half pot. I mean, I only have a bluff catcher here. If he has a king, which he could easily have, he could have rivered the queen. I don't like my blocker here, so although he is quite aggressive, I will just fold to the sizing. If he had made it bigger, funnily enough, I might have been more inclined to call, because it would have looked bluffier. But yeah, don't get me wrong, against that player with those stats, although I had only had 12 hands against him, he looked very aggressive, so I would have overcalled, but by the time I got to the river, all I would have beaten would have been like total bluffs, and I had a diamond in my hand, which makes it slightly less likely that he has a diamond, so that's why I just fold. Here we can obviously open ace-5 suited. Yeah, I was gonna say this is a hand to go, but let's see. I can still 4-bet here with ace-5 suited. He is a fairly tight player, 21-15 with 5% 3-bets here. I mean, neither of us should have anything here. So if anything, we have still the range and the nut advantage. And we can go really small in 4-bet pots. And now that he jams, I will obviously fold here, because what do we have? A gut shot and 1 over, but not really a thing against a check jam in a 4-bet pot by a tight player. That's not how you want to get it in. That's maybe not how you want to 4-bet bluff either. But I thought that he would still have enough hands that he would 3-bet there that would fold to a 4-bet. A6 off, definitely an open, and A6 off, definitely a fold. After we get 3-bet from the small blind, or from any position for that matter. Here we will not continue with ace-10 against the 3x open from the hijack. Pocket force, we can definitely open. There is a tight short stacker in the small blind. If he 3-bets, then we'll have to fold. But he folds. So, easy one. Queen 8 suited, I will open here in the cutoff, especially because there were a few tighter players here. And the button in the small blind, and I have no info about the big blind, but he folds as well. Quite boring so far here, getting walks, all sorts of nitty actions. Here, half pot, this looks to me like a very generic c-bet, so with ace high I have to call. He half pots it again. I mean, we still have ace high and 2 overs, but at this point, I think we can let it go. Jack 10 off in the small blind, definitely a fold. The big blind I would have called. King 10 off, low jack, not an open. Even hijack, only an optional open. I had to cut out a lot of hands because I wasn't dealt anything remotely playable. As you can see, my stats here, 14-13. This is a dream spot here against a big raise. Let me just think. We'll make it, we'll squeeze to 18.4, something like that. Hold on, no, this was actually way too big, but just make it look really bluffy, and if he has some sort of a hand he'll go with. This is not good, it doesn't really help my range, but I will just have to check here, make him feel safe. I mean, if he has a set, good luck to him, but otherwise I will just stack off here. Not ideal, this river, absolutely, but I just don't think I can fold here. I just have to call, and I will probably, oh no, he had ace 10, well, very good. So this is how you stack a player. I mean, really bad player on his side. First to call the ace 10 suited there, but okay, yeah, it was a fairly big bet, but then when I squeeze so big, I think he should fold, and then totally overplaying the ace 10 after I checked the flop. So really not a good way to play in his case. But yeah, that's why I said I just can't fold pocket kings there, even though the board looked scary. And Well, we had our pocket kings, but then not much else after that. Now finally a hand that we can play. King Queen suited. We could call there, but I don't really like that. And now look at this guy. This is annoying because he's quite short stacked and he's four betting me, but no way I'm going to continue. This has to be a fold. If he had been like deeper stacked, but no, I think even then I have to fold there. He was very quick in four betting, so that's indicative of at least ace king, queens plus, maybe jacks. I don't think he would do that with anything worse. And to be fair, even if it was ace queen, we're behind with our king queen suited, so definitely a fold against the four bet. We're behind even against ace five suited, to be fair. So I had some problems recording by 3-bet this one. Now here we can go fairly big, more than half pot. We did at least get the 3 there. He called our fairly big bet. Now there is no reason to really go for it because I don't think we can fold out much better. And with a flush coming in, that's not great either. We can now check. I think check has a lot of EV because he could still have called here with some ace high, some ace king, something like that. Wow, we have exactly the same hand. I would have probably gotten him off a chop here if I had bet. But yeah, not too unhappy to see that at least we didn't lose against something like pocket eights or so. Ace 3, by the way, is not a hand that you want to call a 3-bet with in early position. Jack 6 suited is a hand that I like to 3-bet as a bluff from the big blind against the button. But I do not like getting 4-bet at all, so that just wasn't great. But I still think Jack 6 suited is a hand that you can occasionally 3-bet there. Ace 9 offsuit I would have opened, but I'm not going to continue against the raise. King 6 suited, we've had this hand before. This time there are slightly more aggressive players behind me, but I've been so tight today, just 16-14, because I haven't had any hands. So maybe their HUDs have picked up on that. So I think I can open such a hand, which is only an optional open sometimes. King 9 off, I would have folded either way. 9 deuce off, I will definitely also fold to any sort of action, even to a min raise from the small blind. King 9 off, we can definitely raise, and we have a fish in the big blind probably. Top pair, good kicker. That's a pretty good hand. I am gonna go with 2/3 here. Getting called. The 6 of hearts, not great. It's not a hand that I necessarily fear that he has a flush, but this is now pretty bad. 3, 4, 5, 6, and the hearts. This is not great. I mean, on this board here, all I have is a bluff catcher, really. I mean, do I beat some value? I mean, I guess I do beat some 9s. 25%. I mean, I will call this, but expecting to be quite break even. Well, okay, he bet a 4 there, so wow, okay, he really is not the greatest player. So we will tag him as seriously recreational. Yeah, I mean, if he bets, and that's the thing with fish. You kind of have to sometimes call in situations where you think that there's not much value that you beat, but sometimes they must think that they have value there with a pair, but then it's fine to bet, but then just bet really small, although I'm not even sure it was fine to bet on that board because I won't call an ace high there, so no, actually it wasn't fine. But sometimes it is okay to bet with third pair or so, but then you have to block bet in the hope to get called by something worse. But here in that situation, I basically only call with something better, and maybe he turned it into a bluff. That is possible, and that might even have worked. So yeah, if he had that kind of thought, then I think yes, it was a pretty good bet there on the river. Here I went big on the flop, got called, and now I had to. Ooh, this is interesting now. So he called my flop bet. I mean, how many fours does he have in his range? He's basically saying he has pocket fives, pocket eights, or a four. I don't think he would even do that with a queen. He is fairly aggressive, not super aggressive, but I think, is this spot overbluffed? I mean, I normally don't like calling over bets on the river, but here I feel like his value is not that high because he would have check raised some of his sets. So I just think I have to go for it here. And he has absolutely nothing. Yeah, so this is another one. I mean, it's a good one there, but I will absolutely have to tag him here as a capable. Opening queen 10 offsuit here in the cutoff, and now just back to that hand with a bluff catcher that I had earlier. That was I here ace 10 offsuit is a call. He makes it 3x, which is not great, but I still think I have to call there. This is a board that's not that great for him. It's actually better for me. If I had the ace of hearts here, I could consider raising, although I do have an ace. He makes it small. I think it's close. It is close, but I do want to call this hand with 2 overs. 6 now shouldn't help him either. And another 6 shouldn't help him much. Question is, should I bluff this one here, trying to get a better ace to fold? What I will do, well, I can't really get called by much worse here, so that's why I will just check. I was thinking of block betting, but I win anyway, so that's fine. He had king queen. Okay, yeah, I mean, he gave it a try. So this was good that he didn't bet that river, because I would probably have had to fold to river bet. But yeah, we were ahead all along with our ace high. A7 suited in the big blind. So now note that the low jack made it 3x. A7 suited is still good enough to call against 3x, but just about. This is not something that I would be very happy to call with, but obviously this is a pretty good board here, and I think we can make it something like 9.3, and hopefully he will just fold now. The thing is, if we get raised again here, we can definitely continue with a nut flush draw and even a backdoor. But yeah, it's a nice win to just take it down with ace high, even though we had a lot of equity. Opening ace-9 suited from the low jack, where we open any suited ace. Not a great flop. Against one player I would have c-bet this one, but against two players I'm not so keen on that. Could bet now, but again, against two players, I'd have to double barrel it, and I don't have much here. Again, just giving up. I have the tiniest bit of showdown value, but really is very tiny. And yeah, I mean, he called with queen deuce in the big blind here. I did min raise, but it was still not a great call of his there, and he gets rewarded for it. He wins a small pot, but more often than not, with that hand, he will lose. And if the flush comes in, I would have taken all his money with my ace-high diamonds compared to his queen-high diamonds. So not unhappy if someone makes a mistake like that, albeit a small one, but it still was a mistake. And yeah, in hindsight, maybe I could have gotten him off that deuce with a few bets, but I still think it was fine to just check down my ace-high against two players in that spot. Here, this is a close one, but against 2.6x, I think I will just let it go. Against 2.2, I would have called 7-4 suited, but I'm quite price sensitive, and I don't like to call bigger bets than necessary with marginal hands. Queen jack suited in the small blind. Speaking of marginal hands, that's one of those marginal hands for 3-betting if we get raised, and we do get raised here. But because there is a 3-bet now, I definitely won't 4-bet. Pocket jacks on the button. And this is a playable hand. Everyone folds to us. But let's see. We're getting 3-bet, and this, because he's so short, I mean, button versus small blind would be an all-in with jacks anyway, but definitely one against a short stacker who has only got 50 big blinds, and we're getting this one. I'm happy to just take it down, because if he calls there, it's unlikely that he calls with something worse. So basically, it is kind of a bluff. That's how you make money. Because if you get called with jacks by something, I mean, yeah, tens might have called, but it's usually ace king or queens plus, and against that range, we're not doing super well. But because we fold out a lot of his equity when he folds, like in this case, he might have had a hand like ace 10 or something like that, which would have had 30% equity. I was happy to take it down. Here, this guy has very tight stats. I will just fold to his bet here. Not that I think that he's super nutted, but he might have a pocket pair. He might have ace high. So I only beat a proper bluff with my king high, and it's of course possible, but he only c-bets 42% of the time. He only c-bets the turn 33% of the time. It doesn't strike me as the player who would necessarily bet there as a bluff. So I decided to fold my king high. So jack 8 suited, obviously an open on the button. And we get called a7-5. We could bet with this hand. It's definitely not a range bet. I will bet it though, because we have jack high after all, and we can get some queen high, maybe even some king high to fold. But when we get check raised here, obviously we have to fold. A7 suited. Let's try again. Okay, King Jack suited here in the cutoff. We would have 3-bet an open, but now we can 3-bet ourselves. Now this is another one of those where we get 3-bet quite big. If this were a normal size, or even something like 7 big blinds, I would consider continuing. I mean, it is a tight fold here against this sort of player, but still, because he makes it, like, what was that, 3.5, 3.6x, I just don't think I want to continue. Actually, no, it's not that much, but it's still a tiny bit too big. I could have considered 4-betting there, which I did for a tiny split second, but I think folding is not really a mistake. So, not a lot of interesting hands today, but there were a couple, like the big bluff catch with ace-8 there, and the pocket king's hand I squeezed with, but overall, quite a nitty session in terms of play, not because I'm a super nit, but just because the cards that I've been dealt were pretty terrible. And now we have ace-10 here against a player. I think I still have to fold this one in the small blind. It would not really be plus EV to call there. Jack-8 off, we can raise here on the button, but we'll wrap it up after this orbit. So again, now we do have a gut shot, and because we have a gut shot, I am willing to bet this. He called very quickly, and look at this, we hit our gut shot. That's exactly why we're doing this. Here, do I need to raise? I mean, he's saying he's got something, so let's just get some money into the pot here. And he calls, and unfortunately the board pairing, but I still think we can go fairly big here. Let's go almost pot. And he now unfortunately folds. So he might have had a flush draw, so it was good that I raised there on the turn rather than waiting to put more money in on the river. Okay, so let's have a look. How did we do today? Yeah, the red line wasn't great. I made a few folds there, but especially at the beginning, I'm not too happy about that. But at least we managed to have some profit here. And if you want to see more of these, then please click on this next video, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.